The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his own work, and orders the gatekeeper to be on the watch. Watch, therefore. You do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to all. Watch." The Gospel of the Lord. On Tuesday, I received a text message with a photo of our Advent wreath from the university sacristan wanting to know if it was ready to go and if it looked okay to put out. And I have to admit that text message caught me completely off guard because there is no possible way we needed to start worrying about the Advent wreath quite yet. But sure enough, it was indeed the Tuesday before the first Sunday of Advent. It was right after finals. We've been trying to get our students out the door, and in the midst of all that chaos, it was easy to forget where we were in our liturgical calendar, where we were in our regular calendar. But friends, I suspect that surprise for me was not unique. Perhaps it's a surprise that has caught a few of us off guard, that we are here on the first Sunday of Advent. The past 9 months, we've been perhaps in survival mode, with our minds focused on making it from one day to the next, one task to the next, one stage to the next, without too much chaos or too much disruption. Our ability to think long term, to plan strategically, has been hampered by a great deal of uncertainty and a rapidly evolving public health crisis. And although the past few months have been long and arduous and difficult, our usual markers of the passing of time, holidays, family gatherings, even football games, have all looked dramatically different and have not kept pace for us the same way they usually do. And in a lot of ways, the days and weeks have all bled together into a singular blob of time. And so perhaps this first Sunday of Advent has caught us off guard. The realization that we're only 4 weeks away from Christmas, only 5 weeks away from the end of the year. But perhaps this year, more than other years, this season then is most important to us. Because the very goal of Advent is to elevate our gaze, to draw us out of the day-to-day minutiae of life, and to remind us of our destination, our overarching goal. Each year, the Church gives us this season, not just as a way of preparing for Christmas, but to remind ourselves of that other coming of Christ at the end of time in the fullness of his glory. These 4 weeks before Christmas are not just for us a lesson in delayed gratification, though they are to a certain extent, but an opportunity for us to take stock of our Christian journey and to reorient ourselves to the coming of God's kingdom. And so Jesus tells his disciple and tells us all to watch, to be alert. For we do not know the hour when the Lord of the house is coming. And friends, it can be easy for us to see that admonition as a threat. Be watchful. Don't do anything stupid because I might come back at just the wrong time. The same way a parent warns a child before they go out of town. But friends, our God is not a God who seeks to scare us into submission. He doesn't seek to encourage us into faith by threat. God's invitation to be watchful is an invitation to be diligent and hopeful, because we know that the Master will return. And that even in those moments when the Master might seem so far away, even in those moments when the Lord might seem so distant from us and our lives, and sin and evil so overwhelming, the Master will indeed return. That the Lord is close to us and seeks to come to us again. And thus the admonition is to watch, not to wait. Waiting is passive. Waiting seems to imply that we simply sit there, idle, waiting for something to happen to us. Watching is active. It requires being observant, being purposeful, being attentive to the world around us. Those who sit in the watchtower don't simply sit waiting for the enemy to attack. They are constantly on the lookout, watching for some sign of something unusual or something out of place or something different. And so it is for us. We watch. We're on the lookout. But our lookout is not for trouble. Our lookout, our watch, is for grace. Both our readings today from the prophet Isaiah and St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians remind us of our Lord's love and care. They remind us that the Lord is the one who formed us and that he is always faithful to us. And so from our vantage point, we watch for the signs of his presence so that we might walk in the light of the gospel. How important, how essential this is during these days when God may seem so far away, when there is much to separate us, where there is much to divide us, where there are any number of reasons for us to feel alone and afraid and far from our Lord. But if we heed the words of the Lord, if we take some time to step out of the day-to-day routine of life and to watch the world around us, we will see that the Lord is present, that his love, his grace, his care is with us in the sacraments, in our family, our friends, in small acts of love and service and kindness. And those signs, those moments, friends, make us people of hope. Because like the light of our Advent wreath, they remind us that the darkness is not overwhelming, that the Lord is indeed with us. And it is our hope in his love and his grace that allow us to conquer the darkness of this world and enter his kingdom of light. And so as we gather around this Eucharist to receive this most perfect sign of God's love, may we simply commit ourselves these weeks to be a people who watch, to be particularly attentive to the signs of God's love and life around us, and to share those with others, so that we might be a people of hope, a people who proclaim the fidelity of our Lord and announce his coming all the days of our life.